So this is my second time talking English. I hope you enjoy this. So I'm Eric. I'm co-organizer of NodeBR, JavaScript São Paulo, and a lot of communities here in Brazil. But we are making a lot working with communities. I am a software independent consultant. I'm working with Node.js, software architecture, and a lot of things here. This talk is about how how Kubernetes can help us to make our applications, how manage our applications too. So to start, how many of you is working actually with Docker? So Docker is awesome. So I will talk a little bit about Docker to get all of you in the same page. So Docker is now open source. It's released in 2013, I think. And for me, it's the best thing about Docker is to isolation. We can isolate all of our applications inside Docker, all of our dependencies inside Docker, and all things. And we can now reuse our images too. So for me, it's awesome. And now I think I don't know if this is a translation, but here in Brazil, we use a lot, all my matching works, why in production is not working. So with Docker now, if it works on my machine, it's working production too. So I love it, Docker. Okay, Docker, I think, is a operation system level virtualizations. Is like one operational system inside another operational system. Is a program that can make a layer outside your application. I think the little packages or application is called by containers. So the little package or microservices is called containers inside Dockers. And for me, reduce all complexity of our project dependencies. I have some interns on my company, and we decide to change for our cloud platform. And I say, oh man, change all of this to Linux now, and we can use Ubuntu on your machines and turn on our application to Docker. Okay, my guys was 5 days to configure HTTP or Apache configurations in your application, and we lost 5 days with environment problems. So it's terrible without Docker, I think. And I think that Docker has a power to be working with recipe files. We specify how our application has to work and specify what dependencies my application has to have. So imagine it. We have 3 applications in the same server. It's like a shared server, and each client is with one port to respond. And now my server is exposed by web, so our world can access my client. And we have the clients trying to access our endpoint. So if I have one client, the client access your container by your application by one port, and we have another one by another port. But when we have all of them in the same service, we have a same problem. We have to install all dependencies of our projects. We have to install and configure all of them inside our machine. So let's imagine that one of these apps has the breaked plugin or the breaked things inside your application. And we have a bad guy. The bad guy can access your application and your OS, your operational system, and can retrieve data from your another clients. By one entrance, you can access a lot of your clients and retrieve these applications, and worse, he can delete all of data of all clients inside your machine. Okay, now we know. Okay, Docker, I think to do this, I think is better. So imagine now, all of our applications is inside Docker. All of our applications is isolated with one layer, and your own micro personal system, your own Ubuntu inside another Ubuntu. But my application is the breaked version yet. But when I have now a bad guy, the bad guy can access my application, but he can only access your on operational system and retrieve data from on operational system. So trying to think, so it's better than another approach, I think. But we have a third thing. When we knows, okay, my bad guy knows that I'm using Docker now. Now he knows, I can access only one application per time, I think. So now he's trying to make a lot of requests and our application is broken. Now we can respond all requests. And now if my customers tries to access this application, he is refused. We have a DDoS attack. Okay, we know Docker is awesome, but we have to think about another things. When you have to, if in this case, if my application dies, I have to enter on my machine via SSH and restart my application, restart my Docker Compose, restart everything and inspect what happens manually. So I think it's not good to work with only Docker. When you have to update your application, we have to recreate your Docker, we have to delete all of applications and then replace with the new version. It's lower than another approach, but we have a downtime. So I think if I have a lot of clients connected with inside my application, trying to access my endpoints, in this time I am offline and I can't resolve these requests. So I don't know, I think it's no better too. But we have to over-processing. It's the same case of bad guy. When I have a lot of requests, my VM or my application is increasing your processing and then he's down, I don't know what, but he's down and I have to inspect and we have to restart or do everything manually. So I have to think, okay, Docker is good, but I think Docker is not so good. Oh, we have two memes, it's awesome, okay. We need something to manage my containers, my apps, and we have to think about how I can do this. So let me show you about Kubernetes. Kubernetes is a container orchestration. So I think in our football context, in football we have a coach. The coach says what the players have to do, my soccer is what to do. If the soccer is hurt in the same game, the coach has to replace this guy for another run to run our game. And initially, Kubernetes is maintained by Google, but now is open source by Cloud Native Computing Foundation. And it's kindly called by K8, so it's a more senior word to say to. So it's a word, is a tool to automate your deploy and management of your containers and applications. So it's awesome. So what we can do? What is different than another approach working with only Docker? So we can do, I think, the best of, no, we think it is one of the best things of Kubernetes is working with multi-region. We know the recently cases working with one only region, and the same region, if this region of same cloud is broken, all of clients is down with them. And I think the Kubernetes is good because I can make one VM, a master VM, and I can write a Raspberry Pi or another PCs connected to make my cluster. So it's awesome too. All places that we have the same Linux, I can connect them and make our cluster better. We can control and perform automated process for our deployment. In Docker, we have a problem that I have to now to replace my old version to a new, and when I have to Kubernetes, I think, okay, my clients, I have to continue to serving my clients with my application. So I have to update a little another apps. So the Kubernetes is, I think, we have 5 applications, 5 replicas running inside my cluster. When I have one version, the Kubernetes ups one and downs another. Ups one new and down another, and try to make health checks to know if your application is correctly running. So it's amazing because we don't need to manage this one. So rolling updates, I think is awesome too. It's the same feature to manage our applications, and we can now manage our history of our Kubernetes applications, our images. So if something's wrong on our application, we can do rollback instantly. I think our year, I think it is good than another years, because now we can do deployment things so immediately. So I think a lot of you has a problem to, I need to up a new version. Okay, I up the new version only midnight because my client is not using my application. So now we can do more things. So it's different to say, because I don't hear me and I only see you, but it's funny. So let's talk about the components. The Kubernetes has a lot of components you can see on the documentation, but I separated a little the best components that I know. The Kubernetes master, the master is the master on the cluster. He can decide what the cluster has to do. He decide how how many replicas we have to run, how the load balancers has to execute. They verifies when our node is running or not. And we have the architecture is something like that. We have HCD, is a Docker to store all information of our cluster. We have an API server. API server, we have HTTP. I think for me stranger, because HTTP on CLI things, on desktop things, or to manage the application is different for me. We have a front end with this CLI to create our things, to create our manifest file that we'll see in the next slides. We have the scheduler. The scheduler knows, I need more one pod, more one container, and I have to choose what is the node that I will choose to run this pod. So the scheduler has this job. And we have a control manager. Control manager makes all controls inside your Kubernetes. Is like a node controller, when we have to know if the node is running correctly. The replica set controller, if our containers count is correctly and running with our decide. And we have a node. The node is properly the slave. The node receives the responses from master and creates all of our applications and our clusters and our containers inside. It's properly our VM. Each VM is one node, but we have a master node that decides what each node has to do. Okay, inside node we have a little architecture too. We have a kubelet. The kubelet is a node agent to make sure that my container is running my container is running correctly inside Docker. We have a Docker container. Oh, we have a container runtime. The container runtime, I didn't know, but container runtime, we have Docker, RKT, and Runky. So that follow the pattern of any OCI runtime spec. So we can replace Docker inside Kubernetes for another runtime of containers too. So it's awesome too. And we have the Kubernetes proxy that can do proxy DNS. We can do trustable IPs. We can measure all of communication inside our nodes or outside nodes too, between these network proxies. And we have the pod. The pod is our container properly. We have a little and atomic piece of our application, but we have inside the pod we have our container, and we can make more than one container. But I think it's not a good approach. Has more than one container inside the same pod, because if something's wrong with your container, we have to inspect. It's hardly to know what this container is going on or is not going with or expected. And I think it's awesome too. We have labels inside the containers. We have now, okay, I need to choose only the version 2 to expose to my clients. Okay, I need more one version with break changes. So, okay, I will expose only the V1 for same client and exposing in another IP. I can't do it yet. And we can make updates only by your labels too. I think it's awesome because now I can only choose my target, what I have to do. So it's awesome. Okay, we have to another best feature. So I'm loving with Kubernetes because we have a lot of problems to make deploys in middle day. So it's helping us a lot. We have desired states. Desired states is the feature that now we can do a manifest file to say, my application, my whole infrastructure has to be 3 applications. I have to do 1 database, and if 1 database is down, I have to up 2 new one. And how many replicas and how the requirements to run containers. I can say, oh, okay, this container can only run on 200 megabytes of memory. So it's awesome to say. But I know that is hardly on starting Kubernetes to know. And I think, okay, imagine we have our master node. Our master node receives our manifest file that can be a YAML file or JSON file. So we have the most examples is with YAML file, but I prefer JSON because I hate the tabulation. So I love JSON. Okay. In this manifest file says, I need 3 containers of Nginx and master. I don't know how many nodes you have, but I need 3 instances of Nginx. So imagine now we have 3 nodes, each one is a VM, and the node decides, okay, I have 3, I will choose 1 by node, and it's running correctly. So my current state is okay. So my desired state is 3, my current state is 3 too. But if something wrongs with one node, the master has to decide what we do. So now my current state is different than my desired state. Oh. Okay. And then the Kubernetes choose what's the better node to run and made our pod to the best to run. Okay. And services. When we were starting about Kubernetes, the first thing, oh, okay, I need to make a communication. I just only get the IP of database and put on my application, and I have to make my communication. But in Kubernetes, it's a little simple because the pods is not trustable. The pods is made to die. You can delete and kill and open on instantly. The service gives to you trustable DNS, NLP, and your forward connections too. Imagine another scenario. Now I'm thinking, oh, I am a smart guy. I have 4 applications and I need to make a load balancer. So to make the load balancer, I will divide by 2 and I have 2 databases. And I called these databases by IPs. Okay, imagine that one of these pods is killed by another reason that we don't know, and the Kubernetes now is scheduling to another node, to another pod up when it's broken, but we lost the IP. So 2 maybe half of our infrastructure completely dies. So we have only now 2 applications responding correctly. So it's not good to do. The best way is to use a service layer. When I have to call another service, I can use the services to make the load balancer automatically for me, and I can use, so now I need more databases, I need more storage, I need more everything. Okay, the service can decide how many replicas. Actually, who decides to you is the deployment, but services is routing for you what is the better choose. And we have deployment things. So deployment up. Another thing, when we starting with Kubernetes, we have a lot of confused components. But I think all of these components resumes to deployment. Deployment, you can see, oh, my limit is only 20% of CPU, or I have to only 3 replica sets. I need to this version, I need to update this version. My service is this one. I need this environment variables. So all of them can be on deployment things. So deployment, I think is good because we can make a concurrently version. We can make okay, I need 10 pods only by version 1, version 2. But if I want the version 3, the Kubernetes, we can make I don't know, is a graduating update. It's the same. Okay, delete 1 pod and up down another one. Delete 1 and up another one. He can do with the new version. But if the new version is not working correctly, the Kubernetes stops your own deployment and can do, or all of your application is still running yet correctly. You can pause your deployments if you started the deployments of 100 of replicas. You can pause to fix some bug and continue your deployments too. So it's not a problem working with Kubernetes. So, okay, let me see, okay. But I don't know how to start with Kubernetes. What I have to do to work with Kubernetes. To start, I think, is my opinion, I need at least 2 VMs, one for node and one for master, to make a better decisions. This, I think, is to start with one application, I think. We can use as a service or on premises. So as a service, we think the better today is the GCP from Google, because he was created. But the AWS, recently DigitalOcean is now too. We have a lot of services. Is better popular than another one. And we can use on premise. Oh, if you need, you can install the KubeADM or use the Minikube. But Minikube is to learn about Kubernetes. Is not for production, so don't use on production. And we need a Docker registry. So now my Kubernetes don't know if my application is Java, is C# or each one platform. I only need, okay, it's one image on one repository and it works on my infrastructure. Okay, we need now to know about Docker images. So Docker image, I think, is, I'm loving too in Docker image because it's the same of the burn of one CD. We can burn our CD or DVD on our machine and share with my friends and clone the CD, but I don't run, I only run when I need, so it's awesome. And now the release process is better than copy paste or enter by FTP process, and it's not good to make updates on production with FTP process, I think. And Dockerfile, we have the receipt file that says, oh, my application needs apt-get, a CURL or needs another Linux dependencies, or just I need one base image with Node on Alpine distribution, and my step-by-step to run my application is only, okay, add my application, build my project, and start. Let me see that when we have CMD, we can replace this command by which we decide. So it's a awesome feature too. Okay, after we create our file application, we have to build our image. Okay, now we burn our CD and we put our CD on the table. My CD is ready to share, is ready to execute, and now I only need to upload to some Docker registry. Now I'm using the Docker Hub, is a public Docker registry, and now my Kubernetes is just refer my image and run in your infrastructure. And then we have a lot of Docker registry. We have AWS ACR, Azure ECR, ACR. It's the same, only exchange the first word, I think. Okay, how to run our first application? How our container runs inside my container? So we have two ways to make our infrastructure. We just seeing about we can make a manifest file or my config file, but I can create by CLI command too. In this case, I will create on CLI because it's more easier to understand. But it's only put my image file, I will put the port, I replace my port, and how many replicas I need. And now, how it's working. Now, my application is ready to receive requests. I need only to expose to the world, but it's just it. We can make our update process by this one. Okay, I think, okay, I have a Docker registry. I have my application is running. This application, I can expose it to the world. In this case, I'm using the Minikube to demonstrate all of this, but we can make the same configuration to another cloud. Is this the thing that I love it? With my manifest file, if I exchange the cloud, I only put and run one command to run everything. Okay, why should I use it? Why I shouldn't just using copy-paste to deploy? Why shouldn't I just continue using Docker Compose in production? Because for me it works. I will put the same, there's something what I really loved in this. I just saying a lot about update strategy because for me it's the most painful process, most painful experience to do in production, in legacy projects, and with Kubernetes we have no problem about the update strategy. So now, when I start the update process, the Kubernetes can be health checks to know if my application is running, if my version is running correctly, and but we know, okay, we have tests, we have a lot of CI projects, we have a lot of projects running to don't break my application, but if I forgot one environment variable, we have a problem and it doesn't working. Okay, with update strategy by rolling updates, we can continue serving my clients. When my client is getting my service, in background, I replacing my own infrastructure, and he can do all of things that he does. So it's awesome, I think. And Black Friday strategy, I think. When we need, okay, today I have only 2 clients, but I will sleep today, and tomorrow I have 1 million clients. So my application is not prepared for this. My my code is not prepared, my API is not prepared. But with Kubernetes, we can replace some properties to see, when my application is with 15% of your processing, you need to up 10 new pods or 100 pods. But I think, okay, when I have a lot of clients accessing my application, it's good. But when I don't need anymore these additional containers, the Kubernetes killed all of this unnecessary application, and my all application is running with all good. So it's awesome thing. A multi-region strategy. Oh, we know the AWS. Sometimes I think the AWS was with, I think, North Virginia. North Virginia is down, and GitHub, Facebook, a lot Slack, I think, all of these applications that use AWS in the same region was affected. Some clients is with your application down because the region is down. So use multi-region strategy. You can have a VM on Brazil, on United States, and on all of the world, and on the outside the table of your office too. And recently we have Azure South Brazil. On Azure South Brazil, the region is killed too, and some clients was affected. So all of this platform says, you have to make in multi-strategy of regions to don't have problem. And I think infrastructure as a code. Now we have DigitalOcean. DigitalOcean now have Kubernetes as a service, but I don't know if it's good. I don't know if Microsoft is good. I don't know if GCP is good, but I can try. Now I can get one trial version, but get my whole infrastructure and just run one command, and all of this infrastructure is on air. Okay, and who is it? Who using it? The common of all my managers, I think. The manager, okay, your technology is good, but who is using? So the little players are using. The Google, at least 15 years working with your workload production apps, because he created this. DigitalOcean, Starbucks, and a lot of enterprises in this link. I will send you later. And I think is a trustable technology. What is not trustable now? The same cloud platforms is not prepared to run Kubernetes inside your cloud. Some of this platform now I think is in preview or in beta. It's not prepared to production yet. So just looking if your platform that you choose is cool to go to production. And okay, Kubernetes is not too smart. We have to say to them, you have now to make 10 new containers. You have now to down your containers. So we have to do some configurations inside. I think we never forgot this one, the liveness and liveness problem. The Kubernetes made periodically health checks in your applications. You can put /health to ping your application to say, okay, my application is ready. And I think the liveness is to say, I am live. Okay, is a periodic links, pings to say your application, and readiness is, I think, on the first time that is running. So when I have to scale my application, I have to say, my application needs, I think, 15 minutes to up, 50 seconds, 15 minutes to up, 15 seconds to up my application. So wait and then make pings in your health checks to do these things. And I think use external storage. Okay, I can try a lot of this cloud platform, but I think my data is the preoccupation, is my worry. So I can use S3, Azure Blob Storage too, and plug my cluster in these storage services. And if something happens with my cluster, my data is saved in another place. So it's awesome to do too. And creating alerts. So it's easier to create in Kubernetes. All of services in Kubernetes is with events. So if something, if the master call the node, you can get this event and log this event. I have few examples using Elasticsearch to get all logs. So be careful because it has, I think, 10,000 items running at the same time. So we need storage to store all of these things. And if something's wrong, you can make Slack notifications too. If my application needs to recreate, so notify me. Or when I have no new builds, notify me too. So the Kubernetes is a hacker-made technology, I think. It's the best to working now or application or high availability things with our infrastructure. We can use Helm to make the packages of our applications. So use a lot Helm. Some platform is not working Helm yet, but it's awesome too. And you can use CI and CD process to make all deployments and all things in your infrastructure good. So if you have a Git push on your branch master, you can only push our infrastructure with the new pods. So thank you so much. Here are my contacts. If you have any questions, talk to me on Twitter. I will put this presentation on Twitter too. So thank you so much again.